Hello everyone, welcome back to Python tutorial. In this session, I will talk about reading and writing into Excel file. As we all know, Excel file is used for data analysis. Various kind of data we can customize and operate through the Excel sheet. So today I will focus on Openpyxl library of the Python. Openpyxl is a Python library for reading and writing into Excel file. Whenever we have large amount of information and we have to make some small changes in the Excel file, we can use Openpyxl. So let us start all the important operation, that is reading and writing into Excel file using Openpyxl. Before going to start, quick note, watch this video till the end to understand Openpyxl library, all the operation, and do subscribe the channel. So let us start with the step number 1. Now step number 1 is to install the Openpyxl library. How to install that Openpyxl library? So you can write a command, that is pip install Openpyxl. You can see that already Openpyxl library is installed in my system. You can install the Openpyxl library by using pip install Openpyxl command. Once you install the library, you can import that library into your program, that is Openpyxl. Once I import that file, then step number 2, this is my step number 1. So I just write the command. Now we are going to discuss the step number 2, that is load the Excel file. So how to load the Excel file? First of all, I'll show you the Excel file which exists in my system, that is a salary which consists of some data inside it, that is ID, last name, first name, status and the salary. So these are some employee information and their salary status are there in Excel file, which is organized in terms of rows and columns. We have to operate this Excel file through the Python. So by using Openpyxl library, we can access this information in a Python terminal. So I have to load that Excel file. So whenever you load that Excel file, first of all, we have to reach to that destination. My Excel file is loaded at the E drive and which is under the folder Python underscore code, and the name of the file is salary dot xls. Now I can load that particular Excel file into Python code by using the command. Let's say I want to load that worksheet, Openpyxl dot load workbook, and I have to provide the path so that that workbook will be stored into the worksheet. Once that worksheet is contained, my salary Excel sheet. Now we are pointing to the next operation, that is how to get the active sheet from the Excel file. So as we know that Excel file contains many sheets, sheet number 1, sheet number 2, sheet number 3. I want to point out this sheet number 1, which is my active sheet and which contains some information that I have to operate. So what I have to do, now I use the step number 3 to pointing out to the active sheet. So I just create a variable active sheet, and I just point that worksheet with that active. So now my Excel sheet is get activated, and now next step, that is the step number 4. Once we get the active sheet, we are going to point to the information which is inside the Excel sheet. So we can read the information from the Excel sheet. How to read that information? So I just have a create info variable, and then I'm going to point out active sheet dot, from that active sheet I have to read a particular cell. So we can go to that particular cell, and I just have row number 1 and the column number is 1. So row number 1, column number 1, and then I just print the info of that sheet. Once I save the code, I just compile it, I'll get the outcome. You can get sheet.a1. So now I'll get the A1 is nothing but the first entry, that is A1. I am looking inside it, then info.value, so that you can get the value which is inside that row number 1 and column number 1. Again I save my code, and I compile it, I'll get the information which is inside that particular cell, that is the ID. You can see now this particular ID, that is row 1 and the column 1. Likewise, we can read any particular value. For example, if I read row number 3, just save and again execute the code, I'll get the information which is under the third row. So if I go to the third row, this is the information too. I can change the column as well. Suppose if I shift other column, this is my column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, 4 and 5. So if I look at the column number 4, row number 3 and column number 4, which information is there in Excel sheet? Full time. So that message should be print. So I save and execute the code. So I'll get the outcome full time, that value read from the Excel sheet. So in this way, we can read the particular information from the Excel sheet. We can count the total number of rows and total number of columns from the Excel sheet as well. So how to do that? That is my next step, step number 5. To read the number of row and a column from the Excel sheet. So I just going to print. So now I just write the command print, and from the active sheet I want to print the max number of rows and max number of columns. So you can see now max column we can print by using the max column, and maximum number of row we can print from the active sheet, that is the max row. I just save the code and I just compile it. I'll get the output maximum row and the maximum column. So full time is the message print from that particular row, and then 5 is nothing but the maximum column, and maximum rows are 28. So if you look inside the Excel sheet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 columns are there, and let's say 27 number of rows plus 1 heading is there. Likewise, we can see the total number of rows and column from the Excel sheet easily through the Openpyxl. Now next step number 6, to read the content of the particular column. To read the content of the, let's say, column. We can read a column, we can read a row. So first we will talk about the column. So I want to read the content of the column. So as we know that there are 5 number of columns are there. One by one we can read the data. So I just first write the total number of column in the sheet. So by using active sheet dot max column, I'll get the maximum number of column in my Excel sheet. Maximum number of column. Once I get, I'll iterate one by one for I in a range, and it should be start from 1 to max column plus 1, because we know that range is pointing to the -1 element, so max column or plus 1. So I want to point out the 5th column as well, and then I'm going to print for I in a range, and we can use this starting point and ending point, and then we'll print the data which is inside that sheet. So what sort of data I want to print? The complete data from each and every sheet. So I have to read one by one data. So what is my cell value? Cell value is, let's say, active sheet, which contains cell. Within that row I have to mention. So I just start from the first row, and the column will be iterated one by one. That will be pointing to the I, and then we are going to print the cell value. I just execute the code, but before that I just comment to these lines. I don't want to print line this now. I just make the comment to this print line as well, so that I can visualize this code correctly. Now I want to print content of the column. So what are the content of the column? Let it be, my columns are ID, first name, last name, status, and the salary. That I want to print of each and every column. So I just write the code over here. I just save and compile it. You can see what will happen. Okay, instead of printing the value, it will just print A1, B1, C1, D1, E1. So now it has been pointing to A1, B1, C1, D1, E1. I'll get the column name, but I won't get the data which is inside the column. So how I'll get the data which is inside the column? I just have to mention the value. So this is my cell value. I want to print the value which is inside the cell. So I use a value method. Using that, we can print the value which is inside the cell. So just I save and compile the code. You can see now ID, first name, last name, status and the salary is going to be print, which is in the first row, or we can say the name of the column. So we can read the content of the column now. So I just first read the name of the columns, ID, first name, last name and the status, salary. If I want to read the content which is inside each and every column, that also we can print. So how to print each and every content of the column. Now we will see that how to print the content of the. Now to print the content of each and every column, we'll have to know about the maximum number of row in my Excel sheet. So I'll take the variable that is the max row active sheet dot max number of columns, max number of row in my Excel sheet. So max row. So once I'll get that max number of rows, I'll start the printing each and every row. So instead of max column, now I'll use a maximum number of row. Maximum number of row. That is the variable that I create right now. That will be iterated one after another, and that set value I want to print. So cell, now instead of this first row, I just point into I, and instead of this column, I just write a 1. So how we can check that content? So if I just execute the code, you can see the first row and the first column value is going to be printed. So you can see all the values of the first row is been printed one after another. So you can see all the values is been printed one after another. After this, there is no any value. So we can change the column. So if I want to print a second column, so instead of printing the first column, if I want to print the second column, I just have to change the index. You can see the last name of the persons are going to be printed. These are the last name of the person. Are going to be last name and all the values are going to be printed. If I want to iterate from the directly values, we can write here. If I want to iterate from the first row, I can write I plus 1 so that it will be iterated from the first row as well. So in this way, we can print the content of the Excel sheet easily. Suppose if I want to print a particular value, instead of printing all the values, if I want to print the specific value of the particular row, I want to print a complete row. So what we need to assess, we need to require the maximum column. So maximum column, I'll use now maximum column in my Excel sheet, and I have to iterate for particular row. I want to just print the second row. So this is, let's say, or we can say third row. I want to print this row. Third row I want to print. So I just wanted to print the third row. So I just mention the name of the row, that is third, and I just write the column. So every value of that column is should be printed. So here I write I. So it will be iterated, and the row third is going to be printed. So now you can see the output of this particular statement. Let it be 2 brown robot full time and 32,000. So this is the salary of the employee. So if I look it into the Excel sheet, third row is 2 brown robot full time, 32,000 salary is going to print. Likewise, we can access any particular information. Suppose I want to access 10th row. So what is the value in the 10th row? So this is 10th row value. Perry George part time and salary is 12,050 rupees. So I just save the code and I compile it. I'll get the value same which is in my Excel sheet. So likewise, we can access all the information of the Excel sheet by using Openpyxl. Still, if you have any doubt related to read operation, you can write in the comment section so that I'll give a more explanation of your doubt. So this is all about the read operation. Now next operation is to write data inside the Excel file. So we just I comment all the code first so that we can able to write. Now first we'll try to check the active sheet name. So what I need to do, I just need to use the workbook first, that I have to create first under the Openpyxl dot workbook. Once that workbook object has been created, then we are pointing to a particular sheet is equal to work underscore book dot. We have to make the sheet as a active sheet, and then we can mention the name of that sheet. So if just I want to mention the sheet name as equal to student So that sheet name will be a student will be mentioned, and I can able to check the sheet name whether it has been assigned correctly or not. I just save the code and execute it. Now you can see the output. Student is the sheet name that I mentioned as active sheet, and then I can write inside that Excel sheet that I can create at particular location. So what I need to do now, I just need to write into a particular cell. So let it be the cell 1 that I want to write. So I have to point into the particular cell. So I just have to go to the sheet. So I just use the sheet dot inside that sheet. I have to go to the particular cell, and under that cell I have to mention the rows and column. So I have to insert the value in the first row as well as in the first column. So I just add the value in the C1 which is in the first row in the first column. And what sort of value that I can write? So just I can mention the value is equal to name of the student, that is let's say Gokul. So this is the name that I want to insert inside that particular cell. As good as we can insert one more value, C2 is equal to mention the sheet, and I can just change this cell now, row. I can change the second row and second column. So I just have to add the value in this C2. So C2 dot value is equal to, just mention the, let's say name is Patil. So these two value I want to insert inside the row 1 and row 2. So likewise we can add the sheet inside it. So I just insert that value and I save our sheet. So once I workbook dot save, and I have to mention the path where I want to create that file. So I just wanted to create under the Python code, and let's say name of the file is dim.xls. Okay, so I just save the code and I compile it. The same record will be inserted inside that demo file. So we can check now this particular location where the file has been created. So I just go into that drive, and you can see the Python code demo file is created right now. It's like the same time 2.1 and it's 2.1. So this is a newly created file, and which contains, let's say this is my row 1 column 1, row 2 column 2. Likewise we can add, or we can add in the same row, or we can add the different column as well according to our requirement. Suppose I just want to insert into the first row and second column. Just save the code and I just execute one more time. Okay, this file is already open, so I am not able to write it into the file, so I have to close that file first. I just close the file down and I execute the code. Okay, and then I'll go into the file and I just open that file. You can find the modification has been done properly. So Gokul Patil has been inserted according to our requirement. As soon as we can add the number of entries through the coding like C1, C2, C3, C4, we can iterate. If you have a list or if you have a tuple or dictionary, we can iterate and we can insert the value inside the Excel sheet. Instead of having the particular cell, we can mention the name as well of the cell. So how we can do that? So let it be, I just wanted to insert the value from the third cell, and that value, let it be, I want to insert inside the sheet. Let's my sheet name I already been mentioned. So sorry, sheet that I mentioned, and within that sheet I know the name of the particular column. Let's say A3. I want to insert at the column A3, and that value I can have to mention again for A3. So I just have to use a C3 dot value. Sorry, C3 dot value is equal to, let it be anything. It's a Raju. And just I have to again save the code. First of all, I have to close this file. Then it's able to write. And then I just compile the file. Now I go inside the file again one more time. You can see that new entry has been inserted inside the Excel sheet. So likewise, many entries we can insert inside the Excel sheet for the analysis purpose. So hope you understand that how we are going to add the multiple record inside a file. Now next important part is how to insert the multiple sheet inside the Excel sheet. So I just extend the code now with the multiple file, how we can insert that multiple file inside the sheet. Suppose after this I just have to create one more sheet having the name is, let's say, if you check the file, my first sheet has been created, and I have to change the name of this sheet. That also we can do this, and I have to mention the second sheet name. So I just create one more sheet first of all over here, and let it be that name is, say, workbook dot create sheet, and then I have to create a particular sheet at index, let's say 1, index at the 1, and I have to mention the title of that sheet is, let it be salary. That's it. And just I again close this file first of all, and I just execute the code one more time. As soon as the code is already running, fine. And I just open that file demo. You can find a new sheet is created with name is salary. I can also change the sheet of the particular Excel sheet by using the command that I already mentioned over here, I think. Here we can just change the name of the Excel sheet which is inactive. Sorry, this is my read book. Here we can mention the sheet name, so that name is going to be applicable for our Excel sheet. So hope you understand that how to write the data inside the Excel sheet, how we can add particular row or column, how we can add a multiple sheet inside one Excel sheet to perform the operation. So I think it is very clear now how to read and write the Excel file by using Openpyxl library. So hope you understand each and every terminology in this session. Still, if you have a doubt, you can write in the comment section, so I'll give a more explanation of your doubt. I hope you like the content or I save your time. Please support the video by sharing with your friends. If you not subscribe my channel yet, then please do subscribe and press the notification bell icon to get the latest information. Thanks for watching this video.